Jonathan, how are we doing?
So nice to meet you. I gotta say, I just got started in real estate. What's the best advice you can give to me?
Brother, you're gonna fail. Now, there are 5 reasons why you're going to fail. There's 5 reasons why you're gonna fail if you're brand new. Let me tell you what they are so you don't step in those pitfalls.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
That's right. If you are a brand new investor, there are 5 different reasons why you might fail. And so I thought, you know what, if I make a video, as I've done for other people, and I educate them on these 5 things, guess what? There's a good chance you can avoid these pitfalls, and instead, you can just skip over them and succeed. Bet you didn't know this. Did you know that real estate is the #1 leading investment? This comes straight from Investopedia. According to a Gallup's annual survey, over the past decade, real estate has ranked as the top investment pick for the majority, meaning 35% of Americans. That puts real estate ahead of stocks and mutual funds that are at 21%, savings accounts at 17%, gold at 16%, and bonds at 8% as the most favored investment. And I got to tell you right now, this is also one of the most depressing things that I've ever read, to think that Americans literally are putting money in savings accounts and mutual funds and gold and bonds. It's a clear indication that we're not financially educated and we just don't know what to do with our money. That changes today. Have you heard that if you put money in a savings account, they'll pay you like 0.1%? I mean, it's pretty sweet. Like, it's like free money. It's like incredible. Like, you should totally do that with your money. And here you have it. These are the top 5 reasons why beginner real estate investors fail. If I educate you on them, I can help you avoid them. And here's numero uno.
Numero uno is an Italian word that means number 1.
It is a lack of research. Real estate is an investment that anyone can make, but you have to know what to look for and the right questions to ask sellers. Skimping on research can lead to overpaying, investing with low ROI, and hidden structural problems with the contract, which means at the end of the day, you bought a lemon and you can't turn all lemons into lemonade.
I'll have some lemonade. Certainly, that'll be $2.
Sometimes what makes someone a good mentor is not how much money they've made, but how much money they've lost. Let me tell you about a time when I lost $1 million. $1 million that I borrowed from someone, and a person that threatened my life if I didn't pay them back. Yeah, that was terrifying. So there was this Jewish Iranian man. By the way, I don't lend to them anymore. But this person I borrowed $1 million from, and it's because I was buying a tape of homes from the government in the Midwest. I bought over 300 homes at like a 92% discount. And I want you to think about that for just a second. How do you lose out on something like that? I assumed, that's the problem, that it had to be a really good deal. Turns out after I bought the properties and hopped on planes and started checking things out and doing the research, that what I had really bought was like a nightmare. Every one of these homes needed $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of repairs, and it meant that I needed more millions of dollars. Long story short, I was receiving death threats, literally phone calls from this guy who would talk to me like this: Kris, I need my money back. You know I need my money back. And I started feeling very afraid of this man. And I was fixing up the homes, I was selling them, I was fixing them up, I was selling them. When it was all done and said at the end of the day, I paid the man back and I lost $1 million. And I remember thinking, what was the worst, scariest part of this journey? Well, let me tell you. I was working in my office one day and I was feeling maximum stress from this. The guy was regularly calling me. He wanted his money back with interest. I didn't have the money to pay him back. I was scrambling, and then all of a sudden a black SUV shows up. I kid you not. 4 dudes that looked very Middle Eastern in really nice suits get out and they walk out with these really big luggages. Like, I'm thinking Tommy guns, like straight out of the movies. I'm dying. And you know what I did? I hid under my desk. No, I kid you not. Like, they walked in the front door, I peeked real low around the corner, and someone pointed in my general direction, and I went and I hid under my desk. This is really an embarrassing story. I can't believe I'm telling this, and I can't believe I'm making this public. Ugh. But in the end, it turns out that they were suit salesmen and they were coming on a free lunch to basically provide custom suits for really cheap to anyone who wanted one. And I felt like I had dodged a bullet. I got that man paid back. I got that monkey off my back. And you know why all this went down? Because I thought I had done my research. I had not. Had Have you heard in real estate this adage, location, location, location? Well, I'll tell you right now that the United States is made up of hundreds of these different submarkets, and a lot of them suck. The second reason why investors fail is because they choose a bad location. Like when I just got in the game, I remember that I bought this house literally right across from the railroad tracks. Must have been a crack house. I put some money in, I fixed it up. I was able to sell that house a few years later. I made $60,000, which for a new investor, like I was really grateful for. But the problem is the house was really, really old. It was in a bad part of town. And fortunately, I had market timing on my side. But if it hadn't been the case, I really would have been up a creek without a paddle. The location should always be your first consideration when buying an investment property. Location ultimately drives the factors that will determine your ability to make a profit. Factors such as the types of properties that are in demand, size of the tenant pool, rental rates, and the potential for appreciation. In other words, if you sit in on any city council meeting, they always have an area in town called the path of progress. Like this is where things are moving. And it means that if you develop real estate in that part of town, just wait 5 or 10 years and it's going to be booming because it's going to be one of the most desirable places. Turns out there's a good part of town, there's a bad part of town, and some towns just outright suck. So my real estate is now on a nationwide level, but if you're doing real estate in your own backyard, you should definitely be familiar with where is the path of progress in this area. That's where you should hone in. Man, it is so sad when I meet a couple that thrusts themselves in the game of real estate and they're like, we bought a house, we had a bad experience. I'm like, why did you buy the house? I don't know, because we thought that to be a real estate investor, you owned houses. I'm like, I love you, you idiot. You don't just buy a house to call yourself an investor. Did you get a good deal? A good what? You know, like a discount, or like, did you have a plan, or did you have a way to make money? We just thought that if we bought a home, we'd be investors. I'm like, listen, that literally is going to Vegas and rolling the dice. That is not how you invest in real estate. Check this out. The third reason why people fail, especially newbies, is because they're failing to make a plan. Before getting a mortgage, you need to decide on an investment strategy. Ta-da! What makes you a successful real estate investor is not just owning property or a house. It's what your plan is. It's what your strategy is. It's how you're going to freaking turn that cow into a cash cow. Milk, milk, milk. Let's make some money, right? Figure out your purchase plan and then look for properties that fit that plan. Time management is essential to execute your plan effectively. For example, you may have to vet hundreds of homes before you find the right house to purchase that fits the strategy. Have a plan, because if you fail to plan, you will plan to fail. I said that one right too. Years ago, I met this man named Steve, and he had gotten himself in trouble with real estate. He was over $1 million upside down, and he came to me and he said, Kris, normally I would come to you for a wealth plan. How do I take money I had 2 years ago and turn it into a lot of money? But the truth is, I didn't have a mentor. I went it alone, and that meant that I invested in the wrong stuff, and now I'm upside down $1 million. And I built that man a plan on the back of a napkin, literally, and I ran into him years later. It was like 5 or 6 years later, and he had tears in his eyes, and he said, Kris, I followed your plan, I got out of debt completely, and now I'm buying investments where I'm getting ahead. Thank you so much for helping me with that plan. I gotta tell you, my favorite part of investing in real estate is having a plan. I call it having a game plan. Like, how are we gonna win? If you buy one home, what you're really starting is a multi-million-dollar business. Most people don't look at it that way. You think it's about the property. This is not. This is about people. This is about strategy. This is about a business. And if you can buy one house, like think about this, $50,000 sitting in a 401k, an IRA, or equity in a primary residence, you could transfer that into an investment property. And if you had 50 grand growing in a single investment property, for example, earning a 25% annual ROI, did you know over 20 years that you could turn that potentially into $4.3 million? Well, that's called a plan. There's a plan of how you double the portfolio. There's a plan of how it expands and grows. And with the ROIs I'm getting today, it's not taking 20 years to get there. It's taking less than a decade. Do you have a plan? I quit. I'm out. Oh, it turns out that's actually the fourth reason why investors fail. They quit. They give up. They give up way too early. Dolph DeRoos was one of my original mentors. And I remember he said, you might have to look at 100 properties to find the deal of a decade. And he says, don't worry, they come along about once a week, but you have to look at more than just 1, 2, or 3 homes. A lot of investors, their plan is like, I looked at a house, like let's buy it and try to make it make money. And if it can't happen that fast, then they give up. I'm going to tell you right now, the things that are most worthwhile in life, they take a plan and then they take some fortitude to stick with that plan. Unrealistic expectations and a lack of research can cause investors to give up early. I would even say prematurely. Learn patience because real estate investing can take years to wait for the right time to sell. Unless your real estate market experiences a fast spike, expect to buy, rent, and hold your property until the market rises and you're ready to sell. In other words, if you look at the families that literally become worth $100 million or over $1 billion, I know 2 of them. They're buddies of mine. And their family started in real estate 1 or 2 generations prior. And all they did was buy, find something that worked, and then they said, hey, why reinvent the wheel if something's working? Let's just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. We're gonna do it over and over again. And frankly, that's no different than how I started with 1 home that turned into 25 homes, that turned into 500 homes, that turned into 5,000 homes. When you find something that works, you repeat it over and over and over again. You're never going to get the real benefit of real estate, however, if you quit, because real estate functions on something called compounding interest. And what compounding interest does is, let's say you're even earning a 25% compounding interest. The rate of growth is exciting, but when 25% compounds against itself and becomes 50%, or compounds against itself and becomes 100%, or then becomes 500%, eventually you experience a spike in the curve, and there's this hockey stick moment where it's like going good, going great, whoa! And that's the moment that you're waiting for. It takes time to get there. So if you give up prematurely, or if you're not a long player, real estate is probably not the game for you.
I gotta get my head in the game.
Can I ask you a question? Would you rather have half a watermelon or an entire grape? Half a watermelon's pretty big. An entire grape is really, really small. One of the things that I've learned in life is that if you partner up versus doing something alone, you might lose out on half of the profits if it's like a 50-50 partnership. But you know what you pick up? Volume, more success, something bigger, a greater empire. Here's the 5th reason why people fail. It's because they insist on doing it solo, all by themselves as a lone wolf. And this is a huge mistake in the game of real estate. There's so many different hats to wear. First of all, are you good at crunching numbers and pulling out the calculations to see if something makes sense from a financial point of view? Are you good with money management? What about the rehab? Are you trying to do it on your own? Or are you gonna hire someone to do it? Do you know how to trust people to do the books or to find the tenants? Or are you gonna property manage it yourself? Or are you gonna do a lease option? There's all of these things that need to be done. And if you try to do them all yourself and you're not good at every one of them, you only need to be bad at one of them that you think you're good at for this whole thing not to work. I think the biggest reason why people fail in life often is because they're just trying to figure out how to do it on their own. Rookies make the mistake of trying to do everything on their own. Real estate investors should tap every possible resource and befriend experts who can help them make the right purchase. A mentor can offer you years of experience that will help you avoid financial perils today and years down the road. My original mentors literally helped me do my first several deals. I've had many mentors along the way. That's been the shortcut. And if you look at the way I do real estate today, my success comes from partnering with people. There's literally people all over the world. It could even be you. You got money in a 401k, an IRA, or equity in a home, and you're wishing, man, I wish I could put that in real estate, but I don't know how. You're right, you don't. But I do. So I want to ask you, if we partnered up and I said, I'll do all the work, and by the way, I got a track record on over $1 billion worth of real estate, and you put up the money, but we'll split all the profits equally. Does that sound like a ripoff, or does that sound like the best deal you've ever heard of? Well, it depends. Do you want the entire grape or half a watermelon? Listen, today we've only talked about the top 5 reasons why new investors fail, but the truth is that if you get with someone that knows what they're doing, you can experience the opposite. Instead of I hope I don't screw this up, it's how good can this get? Can it get gooder? And the truth is, I have people around the world who do partner with me, and my partners everywhere, we are slaying it in real estate. And obviously I can't make promises, guarantees, or things like that, but for the next decade, real estate is going to be at its juiciest peak. Here's my question. Do you have a partner that can get you into the very best markets? A turnkey system for evaluating thousands of deals and doing all of that research, but only picking a handful of the very best winners? How about someone that has a system that is doing so much inventory and so much volume that they negotiate the best discounts in bulk? Well, all of that exists in my world. So if you've got money sitting in a 401k or an IRA, savings, or if you literally just have money sitting there in bonds accounts or in equity in your home, You could transfer that in the game of real estate and start looking at the kind of double-digit ROIs that can actually make your goals and dreams a reality. There's a link below to learn about partnering with me. And it's for people that have some money in some of these other 401k IRA, equity in their home, and they want to transition it into something higher, because J.B. Shea, French economist in the 1800s, said that building wealth is nothing more than moving from low yields to high yields. And that's what we do in this partnership. Listen, in today's video, we talked about the 5 things that you shouldn't be doing, but there's a host of things that you should be doing. I got together recently with Henry Washington, fellow real estate investor, good friend of mine, and we talked about the 7 things that every new investor should be doing if they want to make as much money as possible. And guess what? That video is right here. Go ahead and click it and watch it and learn the 7 things that you need to be doing right now to crush it in real estate. Estate investors fail. I'm about to turn. When I turn, it's a different slide. But what, by the way, show me what the next slide is. Good, thank you. Thank you. Ready? All right.